parks, schools, restaurants, and more, Assembly Row gets high scores. We're a thriving city with so much to do on Boston Harbor in our view. Politics, cannabis, controversial stories, heroes, villains, who gets the glory? 50 plus languages in Somerville is spoken. Sanctuary city, there are no free tokens. History in Somerville stays alive. In All American City, we won 3 times. Somerville connects. Somerville connects.
Welcome to another edition of Somerville Connects and Dead Air Live, the longest live running TV show in America. Today we have 3 staff members from Revolutionary Clinics. I am so excited to introduce Andrew Elk, who's the Training and Development Manager. We have Barbara Van Hoosen, Senior Wellness Consultant, and Joe Casper, Remote Virtual Consultant. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jojo.
Really happy to be here.
My pleasure having you all. Okay, so I don't even know where we begin, but I will start with this. I live on Pennsylvania Ave in Somerville, Massachusetts, a few doors down from the Revolutionary Clinics. A few years ago, Revolutionary Clinics came here. You might ask, what is Revolutionary Clinics? Well, I'm going to have Andrew tell you what that's all about. All I'm going to tell you, it is a great addition to our neck of the woods. Andrew, take it away. Tell us who you are, what Revolutionary Clinics is, and get us pumped up.
Thank you, Jojo. Yeah, Revolutionary Clinics is the leading Massachusetts medical marijuana dispensary. We have 3 locations spread out through the Cambridge and Somerville area. We serve the Boston and Greater Boston metro area. We have a 1 million square foot production facility that's based right about in the dead center of Massachusetts in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, where we've added over 250 like really fantastic high-paying jobs to this former factory town, right? And then our delivery program we're incredibly proud of is the #1 delivery program in the state of Massachusetts. We do 7-day-a-week delivery. We do same-day delivery. We do 1-hour delivery. So we are serving Boston and the greater Boston metro area, Cambridge, Somerville. So we are always working to be the #1 medical dispensary, and we are always growing and improving. I'm really excited and proud to be part of such a revolutionary team. So that's Revolutionary Clinics.
Okay, Andrew, so what kind of things do you deliver? Tell people who don't know what kind
Absolutely.
Because I didn't even know what this was all about. I mean, back in the day, honestly, when people talked about marijuana, pot, you would think about buying a bag of pot from somebody on a street corner. How is this different? Because this has changed how people are healing themselves.
Right. So you could still buy a bag of marijuana. That is a product that we sell. It's called our Sessions pouch. But so we are a state-sanctioned, certified marijuana clinic, right? We're a medical cannabis program. So what patients will do is customers, right, will go and get certified for medical marijuana either for pain, for anxiety, for cancer treatment, for a wide variety of medical conditions. And then once certified, we are the drugstore that you go to, right? We are the pharmacist who dispense the prescription that you have been prescribed by your certifying cannabis physician. And then Barb and Joe are some of the incredible team members who, once you actually have a customer and they've gone through the process, they've gotten their license card, they've got access to state sanctioned, like the best cannabis that money can buy. They get to walk in and have a really phenomenal customer service experience, either ahead of the time on the phone or by chat with team members like Barb and Joe, or you can actually walk into a dispensary facility safely and make purchases and ask questions of really phenomenal customer service individuals. They're getting matched with cannabis products to the people who really want them.
That was fabulous. Thank you. So, Barb, you are the Senior Wellness Consultant. What is your role? What do you do?
I do a little bit of everything, but my primary role right now is virtual consultations. So at the very beginning of the pandemic, when kind of everything changed with COVID-19, and recreational dispensaries were closed, and medical dispensaries were essential and allowed to stay open, we saw a huge influx of patients who, suddenly people that were buying recreational marijuana were going to get their medical cards because they could not get their product that they really were using in a medical way. And, I was very concerned that since we were trying to be really careful with the virus and we were trying to kind of keep our doors closed and have an online order ahead for pickup or delivery system, I was worried that patients wouldn't know really where to go if they had questions. So we immediately implemented virtual consultations and tried to advertise that through the cannabis clinicians who do certify patients, through our text blasts, our website, our email. Basically, patients can send an email to virtual consultation at revclinics.org, and we set up an appointment, and I'll have a conversation with them, answer any questions they have. Sometimes it is a person who doesn't realize that they need a medical card, and so I kind of walk them through the process of becoming a patient in the program. But sometimes it's a person who is just new to cannabis and they have no idea where to start. So they want really a foundation of what are the options out there? What do different methods of consumption provide for relief for whatever it is that they're medicating for? And how do they order? What's this like? What should they do when they have this product? So it's been huge. I've talked to so many patients, and they're so grateful for having a direct link to someone. Once we have that appointment, I have a lot of folks who follow up with me and ask if we can have a second conversation, or sometimes they just give me an update like, oh my gosh, I've slept amazing and I had severe insomnia for years, and what you recommended helped me sleep through the night for the first time in as long as I can remember. So it's really nice to have that relationship with patients and to offer them this service of our time.
So, Barb, thank you. That was great. How does somebody qualify to get your service? I mean, what do they have to do? Do they have to go to their primary care doctor? Do they just walk in? Do they knock down your door? How does it all work?
So if a person does want to purchase from us, since we are medical only at this current time, they do have to see a licensed cannabis clinician who has been basically given the green light from the state Cannabis Control Commission to certify patients in the program. We're talking about doctors, nurse practitioners, medical professionals who also go through additional training to certify cannabis patients. When they do see that clinician who certifies them as a patient, once they have their medical ID, so they'll get a temporary ID from the state, and then they'll get a permanent card that looks kind of like your driver's license. And once they have even that temporary card, they could then come to our facility. We are doing online pre-orders, as I mentioned, for same-day pickup or for delivery. So they can go to our website, revclinics.org. They can choose the menu for whichever of our 3 locations works best for them. They place their order. Our online pickup service lets them choose the window of time that works best for them during our store hours. And so they can place an order in the morning, pick up in the evening, whatever works for them. They basically have to show their ID as well as another government issued photo ID, like their passport or driver's license, for example. And we just make sure that they are a current patient in the program. So we verify through the state, and we make sure they understand what they ordered. If they have any questions, we ask them to reach out, right? Or we can give them a little explanation at the window when they're paying for their product. But basically, they just have to be a patient in the program, place their order, and as long as they are, we're being compliant with the state regulations, they can have their product.
Thank you, Bob. That was great. So, Joe, tell us, you are a remote virtual consultant.
That's right.
And you're going to talk to us about the remote team.
It's pretty crazy, honestly. COVID has really shifted the way that we think about these things, how we're operating, because obviously, like Andrew was saying, we deliver really great customer service. Pre-COVID, a patient would walk right into the store. If they had any questions, especially if they were brand new, they'd be able to talk to one of us and we'd be able to answer their questions and offer recommendations and advice. Now, obviously with COVID, those face-to-face interactions aren't happening. So for us with the remote team to be there as kind of a lifeline for our patients and offer the support that they need, it's been incredible. I think we're the only dispensary in the state that offers this type of service. So we are pretty much here to fill that gap so that patients can still have that connection with the staff. They can still feel like they're being supported, that they have a lifeline or somebody they can talk to and ask questions, get recommendations and advice, and really have somebody to even hold their hand through the process. Because like Barb was kind of explaining, with the process of becoming a patient, it can be kind of complicated. And to be honest, not everybody in the state is fully aware of how the medical program works and how to become a patient. So for us, a lot of what we do now is really, we're available for patients to call, to type in the live chat on our website, or even to email, and have us be there to answer those questions. So we're, I guess, trying to bridge that gap between that excellent customer service that we're known for and the extraordinary times that we're living through right now.
Thank you, Joe. That was great. Joe, everyone always questions about COVID, and we really can't make any claims about what you do. Is that correct? You can't make any claims with what your service offers with COVID, or can you?
Well, in terms of claims, do you mean more something along the lines of like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to understand what you're asking.
Claims. So are you talking about, so right, marijuana is cannabis, medical cannabis is generally considered to be a treatment regimen, right? Not a cure. So yes, first of all, I think the first thing that I think about with COVID, right, it's a respiratory condition. So frankly, we are always looking, we're always thinking about, is a cannabis product we offer going to make someone's life? We're always trying to improve people's lives, right? So during COVID, I know my mother is always asking me, like, have you switched to edibles yet, right? Like, there are a lot of ways to consume and dose yourself with cannabis that do not involve inhalation, that do not involve combustion. So I think definitely during COVID, there are a lot of customers who are discovering edibles for the first time. There are customers who are discovering tinctures, who are discovering topicals, all of these other ways to medicate without inhaling or combusting, right? Because we know that any form of combustion in your throat is not good for your respiratory system, right? Medical cannabis is always a choice between, say, maybe a much more potentially dangerous medication, or like, say, using medical marijuana. That's always a choice that people are making, what makes the most sense for them. But definitely, that's my thought about like navigating COVID and medical marijuana products, right? There are a lot of different kinds of products that do not require you to vape or smoke.
So when I think about medical, and I don't know if any one of you want to answer this question, I think about that there's a doctor on staff. Is that true? Do you have a real doctor on staff? Because you're called medical.
We don't. We're sort of like, as Andrew gave you the analogy in the beginning, we're more like the pharmacy than the doctor's office. So patients first do see the doctor or nurse practitioner, their medical professional, to basically present why they are seeking to become a patient in the program. So the doctor will go, or the nurse practitioner will go over what it is their goals are for using medical marijuana. And there are lots of qualifying conditions, things like cancer, insomnia, anxiety, depression, Parkinson's disease. There's a huge list. Chronic
attention deficit disorder.
Exactly. Lots and lots of qualifying conditions. So once that doctor, and the honest to goodness, kind of my perspective is that any cannabis clinician already believes in cannabis as medicine. So if they believe patients, have this access to every pharmaceutical under the sun, including lots of opiates, why not let them have access to cannabis as medicine if that's what they are pursuing. So they really get that sort of medical experience at the first step of becoming a patient. And then after that, they are going to a clinic to pick up their medication. So we don't have a doctor on site. And in fact, if I have a patient who asks me very detailed or specific medical questions, I always refer them back to the clinician that they already have a relationship with who certified them into the program, because I'm not a doctor and I always am very clear about that. I do not give medical advice. I just help patients understand how the program works, what various methods of consumptions are available and how those work, and then what kind of products might fit the goals that they have, while at the same time keeping them safe from any boundaries they have. You know, some patients don't want to smoke or they don't want an edible, so trying to fit their needs specifically.
So you have edibles, you have an edible is you do ingest it, and you do have topical. Do you have like oils and things that go in the skin?
Yeah.
And does one work better than the other?
It's actually kind of funny. We find that different products can be better suited for some patients, whereas other products can be better suited for others. It can be really so subjective. I feel like edibles can be great for patients who are looking to avoid inhalation altogether. Whereas, topicals can be better for patients who have, very specific areas on their body that they're looking for either pain or muscle tension relief. So it goes, it's kind of a case by case basis in that sense.
So does the doctor prescribe the application, or does the patient have the choice when they get to your clinic to choose?
Both.
That's a great question. Yeah, both.
So some doctors are incredibly, there are doctors out there like Dr. Kaplan of CED Clinics who is writing studies and writing books on the application of very specific cannabinoids and terpenes, right? So cannabis chemicals and their associated compounds. There are doctors with that level of cannabis knowledge who are prescribing their patients, listen, you want to find a 1-to-1 ratio THC to CBD product or a 4-to-1 CBD to THC products. There are doctors who are prescribing very specific like dosages and then applications. On the other side of that coin, there are many more doctors who are saying, listen, you qualify for cannabis, your preference, your dealer's choice. Do you want to eat your medication? Do you want to smoke your medication? Do you want to rub your medication on your skin? So both ends of the spectrum you're presenting exist. And it's team members like Barb and Joe generally who do a lot of the education with, okay, my doctor has told me, yes, I'm the right kind of person for medical cannabis. Now, if you're a newbie, if you're a beginner, you get to have a really great conversation with Barb and Joe and say, I'm not sure. Do I want to eat it? Do I want to smoke it? How is that going to be for me? What should I look out for? What is my first time going to be like? What is my second time going to be like? How do I ensure that I have a great first, second, and repeating experience?
Yeah, I was just going to follow up with what Andrew was saying on that note. It's really so subjective. Every patient is so different. So what Barb and I try our best to do is usually give our patients who we consult with just like baseline knowledge of, the different types of cannabinoids that are out there, the different types of products that are out there, because, we recognize that, no dispensary is going to be the same, and product availability will vary from, dispensary to dispensary, even within our own dispensaries. So we make an effort to make sure that our patients really understand what it is they're purchasing and what it is they're looking for, because sometimes, like Andrew was saying, we have doctors who do a great job of explaining to them what they need and what they should look for. And then other doctors just kind of give them a base overview so that they have some basic understandings, but they might not have enough knowledge to really know what they're looking for. So Barb and I will often break things down as simple as possible so that patients, whether or not they're looking for pain relief or something to help them sleep, they at least have a direction to go to while they are navigating the various menus of various dispensaries out there, and especially ours.
I love statistics. So how has your clinics, have they taken off? Is everyone into CBD these days? Because it seems like everybody is jumping on board. What celebrity is like doing the CBD gummy? Bob, can you answer that question?
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting because most of the patients that I speak to are really pretty pretty heavily looking for things like CBD because they are looking to be functional and able to really be medicating for whatever that particular issue is. So I would say that especially in the real kind of depths of the pandemic, I was speaking to folks, I'd say about 85% of the folks that I spoke to were treating for anxiety. And a lot of it was pandemic related anxiety or insomnia, again, which probably is related to some of the same issues with being worried and, not able to kind of function well because the anxiety is overwhelming. And so those folks are like, listen, I'm working from home. I have children who are, schooling from home, and I already had anxiety, but now it's just overwhelming. I don't leave the house and I need to be functional and I can't really be high, but I heard that this can help. So for folks like that, CBD certainly becomes a big part of the conversation because you can really pull back anxiety effects, inflammation effects with the use of CBD. And so I just try to explain what kinds of options are out there. At Rev Clinics, we have lots of products that, our goal is the entourage effect, which means we are not just medicating with one cannabinoid. We are trying to use multiple aspects of the plant. And so a little bit of THC with that CBD can enhance the effects of the CBD and still keep you functional and clear-headed. And so, just trying to explain those kinds of things, but certainly lots of patients I speak to want to know about CBD. That said, there's a big proportion of folks that our remote team talks to on the phone who are looking for the highest testing THC products we have because they need high testing marijuana, the plant, the flower, or they need high dosing edibles, which they could not get recreationally because the limits for recreational patients are very low for things like edibles. So for medical, we don't have a limit on how much THC can be in your edible. And we do have some very high dosing fruit chews, chocolate bars, and some other things that we can use to make our own edibles. Like we have a little distillate applicator that allows a patient to add that to their, they can eat it straight or they can add it to something that they're cooking. So, there's certainly, I'd say a large proportion of patients who want high dosing, high testing THC, but lots of folks that are looking for a consultation because they're brand new. I'm speaking to those folks a lot about CBD as well.
So
CBD is interesting. No, go ahead, Jojo.
So I was going to say you can get high from your products.
Absolutely.
THC, you certainly can from you. So THC, right? So we keep saying this word cannabinoid, right? It's important to remember cannabinoid is just fancy for a cannabis chemical compound, right? You can think of like one little molecule. One of the molecules inside that plant is THC. That's the most famous one. That's a cannabinoid. And CBD is another cannabinoid, right? They're sort of cousins and they do very different things. So THC is one cannabinoid that gets you stoned. CBD generally does not get people stoned. The fancy word we use is psychoactive. So THC is psychoactive, that gets you stoned. CBD is non-psychoactive. It does not get you stoned. But as Barb was saying, it does certain things better than THC does, right? So anxiety relief, reduction of inflammation. So I like to say that THC is sort of like a sledgehammer. It does a lot of things pretty well. It's good for pain management. It's good for reducing hunger or stimulating appetite. It does a whole bunch of different things. CBD is like a scalpel. It does a very small range of things really, really effectively. And that's actually why so many people are interested in CBD for pain relief, for inflammation reduction, people who don't want to get stoned. But CBD is tricky to cultivate, right? Like the reason there's so much appetite for CBD is because, first of all, there's a lot of junk CBD on the market, right? Like it seems like you can go to a gas station today and you can find CBD on a shelf there.
How do you know which junk? Does it have like fillers?
Well, what I know is that you're not required. So in medical cannabis, for example, we are required to independently third-party test every single product that goes on our shelf, right? Like there is no way for a product from Revolutionary Clinics to hit a shelf without a laboratory company. There's only 2 certified by the state to test our products, to certify that there is no heavy metals, no carcinogens, no lead, no pesticides. Like, there is no state in the union that has a more stringent testing requirement regimen than Massachusetts. It's why Massachusetts is the model for every new and burgeoning cannabis market, because we have the most stringent security measures in the entire United States when it comes to cannabis products. It's something we're really proud of, the safety of medical marijuana products in this state. So that's what we have on our side. What does the CBD at the gas station have? What I can tell you is that if, like, let's say that CBD makes you sick, and then you go to that gas station and say, hey, I got sick because of your product, gas station's going to tell you to screw off. They're going to say, I bought it from somebody who bought it from somebody who bought it from somebody who bought it from China. And it got white labeled 8 different times as it came across 3 different ships and traveled through 9 different countries. Wow. That I am very confident that CBD, the person selling it to you, they couldn't answer 3 questions about the product that they have on their shelf.
And this is what makes you different, makes you stand out. This is why people should visit revolutionary clinics. So, Joe, we have a few minutes left. Give us a good story about a patient, someone that you say, this is the results that they got. Can you share a great story?
I do have a great story. It's kind of encapsulates everything we've talked about so far. So I had a patient reach out to me very recently. I think they called the remote team. They were just calling the phones just to talk and ask some very basic questions. What I've noticed happens a lot of the time is 1 or 2 questions will turn into either a half an hour or an hour-long consult, because I think once people realize they can actually talk to somebody and have somebody answer their questions, the floodgates open up. So it started out, they were just asking us about some very basic things like, are there products that have CBD but no THC? Or are there products that can be helpful for things like pain and anxiety, but won't leave any kind of psychoactive effects? And the interesting thing is, most products that have CBD, especially the ones that we sell, typically have a little bit of THC. And that goes back to what Barb was saying before about the entourage effect, because CBD by itself, the type of stuff that you might find at a gas station, like Andrew was saying, most likely isn't going to be very good because it doesn't have any other cannabinoids or compounds. But the products that we sell are formulated to have that medicinal benefit and to have that entourage effect. So I was talking to this patient, very basic terms about, these products that we carry. And this patient, I will admit, was a little skeptical. They weren't really interested in taking any products with THC. And it goes back to the stigma that cannabis has, whether it's THC and the psychoactive effects, or going way back to the war on drugs. People right now are still a little bit wary about how THC might affect them. So I recommended them a few products that are high in CBD and low in THC, so that the psychoactive effects would be pretty much mild to non-existent, but the relief that they were looking for, pain, anxiety, getting a good night's sleep, those were the benefits that they were seeking. And about a week later, after I told them about the process of meeting with a doctor, getting their certification, and then being able to shop with us, they emailed me about a week later saying, hey, Joe, I just wanted to let you know I had the first good night of sleep in weeks, to the point where I woke up this morning with a stiff neck, and now I need a topical to apply on my neck so that I can actually get some pain relief. And of course, we have a topical that can help. But it blew my mind that, a week ago, this patient was so hesitant and skeptical. They weren't even really looking to try anything with THC. And then a week after trying a product with even that just tiny amount of THC and all that CBD, I feel like they were a convert from the moment we had that second conversation. So I think it really just goes to show that if you open up your mind a little bit and give these products a try, really you'll surprise yourself with how well they work. So I'm always an advocate for patients breaking open their barriers and their defenses and giving this a try.
Thank you. That was great. So any lasting words, Andrew? We have like about a minute left.
I just want to say just how happy and lucky I feel to work for such an amazing, revolutionary company every single day. Team members like Joe and Barb, who bring back such valuable information and provide such an incredible service, both talking to our patients, hearing from them. So I'm just so excited that Revolutionary Clinics continues to revolutionize. We continue to innovate every single day. We're always getting better. I'm really proud to be part of such an incredible company. And thank you, Jojo, for giving us this platform to share and speak to the community.
Well,
I will say thank you, Jojo, for calling us, because if you hadn't reached out to the remote team, I don't even know if this would have happened. So thank you so much.
Well, I was at Staples doing a podcast TV show there, experimenting with my cameras and their wonderful podcast studio, and one of my talents didn't show up, and I went, who can I call? Who can I call? And I thought about Deidre. And so I ended up getting you. I don't know how I ended up getting you. I called the store, and there you were, and here we all are a week later.
That's how it works.
This is how it works. Barb, any lasting words?
Really, my sort of motto is that everyone should have access to cannabis as medicine if they want it. It's honestly changed my life becoming a medical marijuana patient. I don't use opiates anymore, which only made me a zombie to treat my pain. I'm really functional. I'm so much happier. And so, I'm a big believer. And, if people have any questions at all, you can email us at virtualconsultation@revclinics.org. And thank you, JoJo.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So where else can people find you? Is that the final place?
Revolutionaryclinics.org. They can find us at Rev REV_clinics on Instagram.
It is.
And then we're also on YouTube at Revolutionary Clinics.
So it's Revolutionary Clinics. That's plural, clinics.
Yes, plural. We got more than one. We've got 3.
I want to thank you, Adam Elk, Barbara Van Hoosen. Oh, excuse me. Thank you, Andrew Elk. Thank you, Barbara Van Hoosen. And thank you, Joe Casper from Revolutionary Clinics in Massachusetts. You guys are fabulous. And thank you, folks, for joining us for another edition of Dead Air Live and Somerville Connects. Bye for now.
Somerville connects. Somerville connects.